Hello, Uganda. Good evening and welcome to the show On the Spot. Constitution guarantees freedom of expression, freedom of assembly, law. Yet year after year, local and international human rights organizations continue to document allegations of arbitrary arrest, enforced disappearances, torture, unlawful detention, restrictions on political opposition, and the increasing involvement of security agencies in matters many believe should be handled by civilian institutions. According to Amnesty International's latest assessment of Uganda, authorities have been accused of using torture, enforced disappearances, arbitrary arrest, and detention against actual and perceived government opponents. The organization further notes concerns over the continued use of military courts against civilians, despite judicial rulings questioning the constitutionality of the practice. So today we confront one of the most controversial issues before us. Let me introduce my guest. I have a political analyst speaking on matters of governance, Mr. Mande Akol Amazima. Thank you for joining us, Mande.
The pleasure is mine.
Well, a political analyst and immediate former Deputy Lord Mayor of Kampala, Doreen Nyanjura. Thank you for joining us, Doreen.
Thank you so much, Kamara. Thank you so much, NTV.
And we have a security analyst and private investigator, Mr. David Egasa. Thank you for joining us, David.
Good evening, NTV. Good evening, viewers.
Let me go straight into it, and I'm going to begin with you, Doreen Nyanjura. Why I'm beginning with you is because we have a man who is facing serious charges, but that man was your immediate boss just a few weeks ago. And I'm talking about Elias Lukwago. Because when they take somebody who is your immediate supervisor, I am sure you being a politician and on the other and across the aisle, Doreen must be running scared.
Well, I'm not scared. I think I'm concerned and I'm confused. That is what I can say, but I'm not scared, because being scared means that I am surrendering and I'm giving up on what I so much treasure, and that is freedom of speech, social justice, things that my boss, Salongo Elias Lukwago, equally treasures. I think I'm going through a hard time, just like many other Ugandans who have their friends, who have their relatives, who have their leaders in detention, who have lost their loved ones. I mean, it's that situation that I am in. I hope you know that my mentor and my leader, retired Dr. Kano Chiza Besige, has been in Luzira since November 2024. And you know the challenges that we have been going through. He's applied for bail 4 times and it has been rejected. The 5th bail application, we don't know what happened to it. We have not had anything to do with that. His health as well is not the best. And the major person who has been handling this is none other than Salongo Elias Lukwago. So this has really taken a toll on me, honestly speaking. If you ask me,
it's like somebody has come to strike the shepherd, and so the sheep must be in disarray. Because let's face it, Doreen, when you see gory images of Elias Lukwago in a very sorry state, where he is very helpless. Yet this, just a few months ago, was the Lord Mayor of Uganda's capital, Kampala. That must be more than concerning.
Yeah, of course, it is very disheartening. It is shocking. It is painful. Those of us that were not here during the times of Amin, we just used to hear about these things. But now we're in this era where you have the CDF bragging about how he has Lukwago in the basement, about how Lukwago is learning Swahili, about how Lukwago has so far used 2 diapers. He's now running out of diapers. Maybe you could eventually let him go. Now we are talking about distinguished leader in this country, politician, a distinguished lawyer. Most of us know, probably also know, that Lukwago is fondly referred to as the rule of law general. And of course, his health has not been the best. That is why when the military came and they broke into, they found him in his room, that the only thing that he prayed he should go with was his pressure machine and his medication.
Okay, let me.
And
yeah, okay. If you could pause there, I want to go to Mr. David Egesa. On this show, I don't want to go into the merits and demerits of the case because of the misprision of treason. Because now that's before the courts of law. It's going to be right for me to get into it. There's something the courts of justice. I don't want to get to that. But I want to get into the modus operandi of the arrest itself. The humiliation that we saw, the images that came out, without necessarily looking into what is being accused of, because he has his day in court. Now that he's within civilian courts, will be able to defend himself, I suppose. But I guess you are a private investigator, you are a security analyst. If somebody is accused of committing a crime, even if it is a capital offense, how is that person supposed to be handled?
Of course, we are at a time when several improvements have been done, but at the same time there is that kind of retrogression where we kind of walk a few steps ahead and some steps back. In a situation like that, I would believe that, we have always advocated for civil behavior, even in a situation where military is involved. There should be that kind of a situation that justifies actions. Because like in a situation that a man who is as helpless as Lukwago goes to be arrested, arrests are normal. But what we talk about is let it be civil, let it be fair, and let it be within the means of a civilized kind of setup. Because here we are trying to invite and persuade investors. We are trying to tell the people that the country is at peace. So in all this, we should literally, I think, deal with the situation of, we should reduce on militarism. Militarism should be reduced. Of course, like I said, there is improvement, but then there are always some steps backwards. Because in that situation, if we now go to pick such a person, yes, like he's arrestable. How do you arrest him is the key. How do you detain him is the other one. Why put him out for even his own children to see? To me, I still believe that with all the intentions and purposes, we should tune down on anger, we should tune down on that kind of the tempers of the young people. Because we are now having a situation of what we would call the verbal artillery. In our own times, it used to be bullets flying. Today, people use words, and people use statements, and people use the social media to fight wars. And I'm telling you, this type of wars will destroy the young people if they're not careful.
Okay, I'll call Mr. Manda call. Many have called Lukwago the rule of law general, the guy who really wants to follow the law. He's an office of court. In fact, he was meant to deliver a judgment of court, not even his, because he was like a messenger who was intending to, at one point, to deliver a message of court to another Ugandan. But the manner in which he was arrested, how did that hit you?
Well, of course, like any other Ugandan, it created some kind of confusion because we really needed to know whether he has been abducted, as it has been said, or he had been arrested. And normally, when it comes to punishments, in most cases, we punish to correct, not to humiliate. And that's why in some countries, prisons are called correction centers. So that somebody, when they go to prison, they should come out when actually they are better. Not places perhaps where people will actually
be traumatized forever.
Be traumatized forever. So these are some of the discussions we should be actually having as a country. But the other side that we also have to look at is that finally he's now been taken to court and has been charged, and we only pray that he can actually prove his innocence before the law. Then, yes, he has been looked at as the general of the rule of law, because he has actually been fighting for the rule of law, things to be done in the right way. And we also feel that he has not been alone. On both sides, we've seen people really who have actually been pushing for that kind of thing, that we should see if somebody is being arrested, he should be arrested in the right way. Somebody is being taken to court, the process should be clear and expedited so that really justice can be served.
You know, the people are saying that, look, Elias Lukwago is a person you would have said, you know what, you would summon and then he would to deliver himself to every place in a court or in a police station and record a statement, because it could have been that as easy as that. You are summoned and he will appear, because as a senior lawyer, as a former Lord Mayor, as a head of a political party, and as a person who has practiced law, I suppose that he was not a flight risk that he was going to run away. Would he? Is that the perception perhaps that people could have thought? This man can easily run away, so straight early in the morning at his home, cut him off and then whisk him away?
No, like I guess I will tell us, you see, security normally has more information about us than any other person actually would know. So perhaps the nature of arrest could have been as a result of some information they could have had. But that will come out in the process of, now that the court process has started, I believe that will be able to come out.
You know, walk us through again, Mr. Gesa. If assuming you have committed, you are facing allegations of heinous crimes you have committed against even humanity. And how should the arrest be conducted?
There are measures
without the politics.
Security will look at, depending on the type of crime you are talking about, whether it is just an allegation. But if they, like I would say, if you are accused of, if the allegation is murder or maybe terrorism or in that kind of categories, you'll see that there could be a situation that the security will kind of gear themselves into that kind of aggressive behavior. They may not look at the person per se.
They become like in a combative
formation. They are combative for one reason. Now, in their own mind, they are coming against what?
A dangerous criminal.
A dangerous criminal. So once they have that in mind, then sometimes the end justifies the means, because they may even think that as they approach, they may be shot at, or they may kind of be faced with fire. Depending on how one flames up a charge, the reaction sometimes can kind of come up into any other direction. So, like in this case, they may come so many. Several experts may be coming in. There could be several searches, but all the same, the military especially does the cordoning off. Then the police, the simple civil police, can do the searches, so that there is that kind of humane handling of a person. Because deep inside the house, there is not only one person you are looking for. Their children, their grandchildren, their spouses. So there should be that kind of touch of civil, that kind of civil touch I've been talking about. Yes.
So now, you know, your recent former boss was handled like a...
But he's still my boss.
Okay, so
because at least we belong to the same political party.
And
He's the president, so he's still my boss.
Your boss was handled like a dangerous criminal.
Well,
like, you know, when you see how the people who are effecting the arrest, how they came, they're sort of battle-hardened. Some of them call them commandos. I'm like, but really?
Yeah, of course they are battle-hardened. We are talking about SFC that are supposed to handle special operations, maybe if the country is under threat. But I mean, was the country under threat? And my brother here has been talking about more details coming, maybe if it was a security threat. No, Lukwago is not a security threat. Lukwago has not committed any offense. His only offense was to try and execute court orders. Because what he was doing, he was simply doing court work that gave an order that Muhoozi should be someone to come and appear in court. We all know, and this was a petition that was filed by Dr. Chiza Besigye, following the threats that Muhoozi has been issuing of how Besigye is going to be hanged on a certain tree in northern Uganda on Heroes Day. I mean, we are talking about someone who is incarcerated and is supposed to be protected by the state that is keeping him. But then we have the CDF who is saying, no, this man must be killed. And we have been seeing what Muhoozi is saying. You know, he said, I am going to take Lukwago in the basement.
You have been reading the tweets that are coming.
Apparently, that is our only source of information. Yes, because when the man was abducted...
You know, it's a different thing I'm hearing him say, but there are tweets which are attributed to him.
He has not come out to say no. And whatever he tells us, we have, in most cases, seen it happening. You know, he said, I'm coming for Lukwago.
I'm praying for that day when perhaps he could come and say, you know what, by the way, I'm not handling that account.
I don't think he would really...
Yeah, but you know, that can change the game. If he says it's not mine. You know that? Then what do you say?
I don't think he would... he would really say that.
There are tweets which are attributed to him, and many of us would want to have a one-on-one and say, okay, these things are attributed to you. These things are attributed to you. Is it really you? Or
if they were not his tweets, then who ordered SFC to go to Lukwago's home have him abducted?
By the way, I'm not saying that tweets, but I just want to...
Okay, so
but it's not verifiable.
I am trying to show you...
at this point for me.
I am trying to prove that they are actually his tweets.
Okay.
Because he commands the SFC.
Yeah, you know...
And it went to Lukwago's home, and Lukwago was abducted. And after that, Lukwago was taken in a basement. Photos of Lukwago were released in a basement, learning Swahili, in a basement, pleading for mercy, in a basement, when he was blindfolded, his nose covered, his ears covered, everything was covered.
So Mr. Mande Akol, there's an element of humiliation. I wonder what that is for. Was it intended for Lukwago or intended for the rest of us?
Kamara, I think allow me just finish this point to just prove that it is the CDF, and to try to understand at what level did actually things change. Because he maintained and he said, who is Lukwago to summon me? I am the CDF. I can do whatever I want.
Okay,
so at what point did it change
to
actually become misprision of treason? Because even if you're to go to Muhoozi's X account right now, he's still treating the same things. Lukwago will be there for 10 years. So at what point did Lukwago's crime change from attempting to summon the CDF to it now being misprision of treason. Definitely it's not.
Mr. Monday, a call.
Yes,
I read, what I read and what I see an element of intended humiliation. Is that humiliation? Because that's what I see. Meant for Lukwago alone, or it is meant for everybody else?
well,
Or you don't see the humiliation? In case you see the humiliation.
In most cases, when it comes to military, if you are actually deemed to be an enemy of the state, not an opponent, not a rival, but an enemy of the state, because ideally, if you're charged with treason, it means you're an enemy of the state. In most cases, you always see that, not only in Uganda, there's always an element of humiliation. And a humiliation to serve as a warning to others, perhaps, who would also want to be enemies of the state. Now, the question here should be now, who is the enemy of the state? Is it the person who has picked up arms to go and fight? Is it somebody who is actually opposing on the streets of Kampala? So I think that is...
Or is it someone abducting civilians?
So this is something that we now need to have a conversation on. Now, the other issue that my sister, Nyanjura, has actually brought out, when she says that Lukwago is innocent, of course, the law says you're innocent until proved
Guilty.
Now that the whole thing is before the courts of law, I believe that innocence should be proved. Because ideally, it's not the first time. You remember, Dr. Kizabesige was accused of raping a lady, and he went to court and won the case. There are a number of cases here.
Yeah, but what we can't attempt to do on this platform is to look at the demerits and merits of the court that is, of the case that is before him, that is being put, the charges put to him. But whatever, in my view, what we can actually look at is the manner in how the human rights, of how his human rights were violated, how he was handled, even before they said misprision of treason. It is where my problem is. Because, look, the moment court says, this is what you're accused of, and he, of course, he has denied the charge, then he will have his day in court, and his lawyers and himself, and defend himself. And whoever wins will carry the day, whether it is for him or to lose or to win. That will be determined by the courts of law. But from Wakariga, his home, 48 hours after, and then to Kira Divisional Headquarters where he was. And the messages that we see is something I feel was ugly.
Yeah, I just want to say, Kamara, that I also agree with you and the rest of the panel that the manner in which, especially political leaders, actually their cases are being handled, should have some kind of decorum, some kind of respect, because really these are people who have a following, and at times political disagreement should not tantamount to enmity. That is, if it is political disagreement. But where one, of course, where the security apparatus has more information than we have, then at times, of course, once they arrest somebody in the manner they have chosen to, then we wait to see that let the courts of law expedite the process so that people exactly can get...
Yeah, okay. I hear you. You may say the security apparatus, they have information that we don't. They do intelligence, they survey, sometimes they survey and whatever. In most cases, they are supposed to know more than we do. But then the parading, the showing up of the images, the information that comes out on the internet, the blindfolding, if it's happening, yes, and then it goes in public, and the words that are accompanying, is that also part of because they know more?
No, the whole thing should be really handled in a human way, that sort of thing, with a human face. We should, at this point, we should call for Ubuntu, that even when we're doing these things, we should, at the end of the day, we should imagine that we are human beings and we are really relating with human beings. These are people who have a following, they have relatives, they have friends. And there are people, of course, at one time they have even worked together. So even much as we are seen to be angered by some statements that our rivals could make, then we shouldn't really use so much force, especially when we are arresting. That is, if the arrest is political, and even when it is military in nature, because ideally the law is clear that somebody is innocent until
proven guilty.
Guilty. But again, this should introduce us to the reality we are facing in the country. The reality we are facing in the country, we are in a kind of nusumukati kind of government. When we talk of nusumukati, those who have been to Kenya really understand that where you have two power blocks sharing power, like we had Kibaki and Raila in Kenya, like we had Uhuru and Raila in Kenya, like we had Morgan Shagarai and Mugabe
in Zimbabwe.
In Uganda, the nusumukati kind of arrangement is unique, that it was negotiated within. That you have NRM as a party, but you also have a very powerful movement within NRM called PLA, that actually almost has half of the numbers of MPs. It has ministers. The speaker and the deputy speaker are part of the leadership of PLA. That sake, the Central Executive Committee of PLA is as powerful as the Central Executive Committee of NRM. The Secretary General of PLA.
Where do you get that the PLA also has members of parliament?
I know.
Where do you get that?
This is an open secret. The PLA has members of parliament in the opposition, has members of parliament among the independents, and also in NRM. At least this is really open secret. And therefore, this makes the leader of PLA a principal in the running of the country, just like President Yoweri Museveni is the principal. So we have now two principals. Now the confusion.
It's more of a shadowy organization that is.
Of course, this was
because in the elections there was no MP that was elected on the platform of PLA.
No, I said it is a movement. You find there's a serious lobbying and pressure group within NRM, and actually, with that has an headquarters, it has members, it has its leadership, though it's not a fully registered party. And why we are saying this, that now, earlier we really recognize this, that we have the president, who's one of the principals, and then the co-principal, who's actually general.
So there are two power centers.
So we have two, yes, this is the reality. And now the two power centers, also the earlier as a nation, we identified the particular position of the other principals. Because in Kenya, when they came up with that kind of nusumukati, they created the position of an executive prime minister. So was the case in Zimbabwe. But now like General Mhoz, we need to know that he carries very many hats. So presidential advisor, first son, the CDF, and now the co-principal in running government from.
But what you're saying does not augur well in a constitutional in democracy, because if you are a chief of defense forces, you cannot be running some kind of a political organization that is partisan, because you're supposed to be above that.
That's why I'm saying that earlier we discussed that as a nation. What position? As the co-principal in this particular arrangement.
Mr. Gesser, and I'll ask the same question to you, Doreen. If Lukwago has an office of court, who was supposed to be delivering a message of court, and in the process of trying to deliver it, he's taken before he even delivers it, shouldn't we have had the judiciary come out in a strong way to say, this is our officer, he's actually doing our job, he's a messenger carrying our message? But looks like there was deafening silence from the judiciary. And yet, the other arm of government, that perhaps the buck should be stopping with the judiciary on matters of the law.
Thank you. Before even I go to that, I've always told the young people that whoever designed what we call forces must have, he had an objective, and the objective is very simple. For every force is built on the principles of coercion. So even training in itself, you have seen a situation that soldiers, policemen, and prison officers, much of their training, much of their physical training is aimed at that direction of coercion. So when the whites came here, they built the same force. That's why by then a person of my height could not even qualify, because they wanted huge, muscular, strong guys who could deal with it. Look at the Bible. The soldiers did a lot of so many things, to the extent that when they went to John the Baptist, he told them, listen, because they also wanted to go to heaven at a certain stage. You know, soldiers want to go to heaven. Like Mohoza said, he listens to Christ, and then who else?
That is in the bloodline of...
Yes. So he wants to go to heaven. So that's why in Luke chapter 3, verse 14, John the Baptist said that, listen, do not harass people. So the harassment is inbuilt when you're doing training. Now, that's why I've also told the young people that when you're dealing with soldiers, especially with this verbal artillery, when they are fighting with each other, I mean, when you are throwing stones, in Samia we clearly say that when you don't over-argue with the owner of the house. Because when you over-argue with the owner of the house, what happens? You say, yes, I must know I've won. Then he says, but you will sleep out of the house because you have shouted at me. When you are dealing, yes, let's say that there is that kind of reduction of militarism, but it still exists. So I've always told people, when you are dealing with a soldier, have some kind of retreat capacity, because at the end of the day, he may forget about these issues of him and managing police and kindness and the law. A soldier can forget about it. So,
but in the case that we know, if there's any civil person that they know, it's Elias Lukwago.
True.
So even if you cannot say that probably that he went out of his way to say something that is
I'm not saying that. What I'm trying to emphasize here is
not
that
throwing an insult.
What I'm trying to emphasize here is at a certain stage there can be an overreaction from the army. Because we have seen some of us, I was born when Cohen was ruling, and I've never seen a situation when soldiers will behave so well. That can come out. That's how I've always told people, the young people of today, that even when you are, whatever happens, we have gone through this. And
because their training manual is very different from that of police.
Now, once they cross in to support the police,
yes,
the excesses will come out.
That's why, I mean, probably some people would say they shouldn't even cross unless it's really needed.
No, there are several of them now have done courses, yes, and they to a certain extent they have been very helpful. But there are times when a few things, more especially the civil behavior towards where there is an operation. Once a soldier is told that there is an operation, he's in gear. He carries the guns, he carries everything.
Okay.
So,
Doreen, to know that Lukwago, his intention was to deliver a message of court and he didn't. And there seems to have been deafening silence from the judiciary. What do you read from that?
And I am shocked that you seem to be shocked that there is silence from the judiciary. I mean, we are talking about the judiciary where we have the Chief Justice condemning freedom of speech and telling the public, if you come after my officers of court, I am going to deal with you. That is the Chief Justice. We are talking about the judiciary where we have Justice Baguma walking out of court, storming out of court. When Dr. Chizabesde is giving his submission, I want to ask you a question. Do you really expect them to do anything when a member of the bar has been mistreated?
I'm expecting them to do something because Lukwago himself,
they are supposed to do something.
Lukwago himself is still in the same institution. He still believes
exactly
that the judiciary still has a spine to do some work.
And that's why when we were in court yesterday,
yes,
we were very shocked by the submission that was being given by the state prosecutor. Because they are telling them, you're sending to prison a dying man. At the time Lukwago was appearing in court, his pressure was reading 200 over 100. But the state prosecutor stood and said, No. In Maction Bay, Luzira, where we are sending Lukwago, that Maction Bay has the best facilities in the whole country, medical facilities. Can you imagine the way they were mocking him? But remember, we have a national referral hospital where Ugandans can no longer even be referred to. Those who can afford, government officials, they are sent to Nairobi, they are sent out of the country. But that was the submission that was given in court yesterday. Over 200 pages showing his medical record were presented in court. And we expected the magistrate, we expected his fellow members of the bar to come out and say, no, we cannot allow a dying man to go to Luzira. Actually, Lukwago went further to plead and is like, okay, even if you're remanding me, can I please be detained in a health facility? At least detain me from Mulago. I can be surrounded by police. I can be surrounded by prison warders, by prison officers, because my health is not the best. That one was equally denied. So honestly speaking, I do not expect any miracle.
Let me go back to Gesa.
No, we are talking about a court system
I want to know
that has denied someone best mandatory bail, which is entitled to.
Yes, Gesa, you're a private investigator and a security analyst. I want to know the technicality. If an accused person says or claims that I'm in poor health, in that case, what is supposed to be done? Who's supposed, because it is his word, but what should the prosecutor do in that case?
Of course, with the prosecutor, his or her duty is to make sure that he stretches his instructions from whichever corner to make sure that the accused is held. Sometimes they may even overlook the health. In some cases,
isn't there a possibility of trying to verify the claim that is being made that I'm in poor health?
Well,
but I've never heard of such a kind of exercise in court. Of course, they have to, and they have the documents. But I think there's a situation now that even the judiciary has kind of either resigned or there is a way when cases are, the first cases are in social media. And now when they hear big names being said in behind, they may not do so much. They are there possibly to, there is that kind of timidity that comes in. Otherwise,
Mr. Cole,
would care so much about
should at
life.
That point, after the medical documents are brought in and maybe, should court bring in a medical personnel to look at the claim being made by Elias Lukwago of his health, and then and then it is determined whether he's supposed to be a hospital case or maybe a prison case?
Well, in most cases, when a case involves the military, in most cases that case is always handled with caution, because ideally, even the nature of charges that have been slapped on him, those are serious crimes that any other judge would not take that risk, that path. So
because of the nature of the charge.
The nature of the charge. I think this is something we need to understand. The nature of the charge informs the steps the judge is actually going to take. Because we've actually seen Dr. Besige in ill health, but because of the nature of the charge, at the times they said, okay, still Luzira has facilities.
Kamara,
that
just
can.
want to give information.
Let me
Especially on that point, as someone who has equally been in Luzira. There are cases that cannot be handled by Luzira prison, even when you are by the medical facilities there. What usually happens, you're taken to Mulago Hospital, still as a prisoner, but when you are guarded, when you're still in the hands of prison.
So what I'm saying,
this has happened.
Is that to be determined by the judge that you should go to Mulago, or it is somebody else who will look at you, and then the judge will depend on the information given to him by a medical personnel to make a decision?
Well, the judge can give instructions, because prisons, I don't think they are above courts. It's not the first time they have taken instructions from court. And this is what would have expected.
So the judge should have...
Even when you're not a medical expert, honestly speaking, on humanitarian ground, because I believe even the magistrate must have seen the images of
you can see and everything, but
in the basement.
You will still need a medical, a scientific.
Okay, I've said that was presented. That was presented. The pressure reading was done in court. It was equally presented, and the pressure reading at that time required urgent medical attention. So which other evidence did the state need? Okay. Which other evidence did the magistrate need other than what was presented?
One at a time.
Yeah, she has given her information, and I'm happy that she has given this information, that in Luzira, there is a mechanism where the authorities take people to Mlago. So let us not look at, because the judge, I said the nature of crime determines how the judge is actually going to act.
That's what you're saying.
Well, you're the same person who said you're innocent until proven.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yes. You're innocent, but now...
So why treat someone as a criminal
when it is not yet proved
so?
The nature of the charges slapped upon him. That's what I'm saying. The nature of the crime... that has been, the charges slapped upon him. But now that said, the Uganda prison services, of course, have a leadership, and they have all people who can actually look at, say, look here, so and so has to be taken to hospital, and that has really happened. But my thinking, and perhaps the thinking of many, would be that, especially when it comes to political leaders that have served the country in various capacities of responsibility, when it comes to issues of disagreements, they should be handled in a more civil manner, so that it shouldn't be seen as if somebody is acting out of anger, like what you talked about, like the humiliation. So that shouldn't be seen that there are excesses being done on one particular group. But like I guess I did say, you see, once the military comes in most cases, their training is never to massage people. But maybe if it was the police that came in with that kind of force, then we say, look here, the police is meant to be civil when they are arresting. But in most cases, when the military comes in, by the nature of their training, you really see excess force coming in.
Was dumped at a police station.
So now, Mr. Egesa, David, you know, in a democracy, you have the judiciary, you have the legislature, you have the executive. And we always thought that these three arms of government can work in a way sometimes of checking each other. The parliament, at this time, should maybe have come out in a more authentic manner to state their position on what they've been able to see. But now when we hear that the Chief of Defense Force is saying, I have appointed the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker as my envoys in Parliament. And also we also saw tweets attributed to them saying, thank you very much.
I know.
Is there any grain of confidence from the people that those two individuals will be able to execute their mandate without fear or favor?
Yeah, I would love to kind of broaden the discussion by looking at Mohozi the person, then the Mohozi the CDF. Because definitely he's a person and the CD is a CDF. What roles and duties he does, where he has done, of course, is the overall in the UPDF administration. The Constitution gives him that. The statute, UPDF Act gives him that. And in that area, you see that several things have been done. And also when he talked about corruption and he handled some big generals there, people started getting a bit excited about what he was doing. Yes. And there is a good credit, because Uganda has been covered with a lot of fraud, with a lot of corruption and so many other things. The local civilian got so happy when Hose started saying, I'm coming for you. And by the way, there was some bit of sanity within the Ame family. There are guys who have been driving recklessly, pulling guns here and there. So they say, hey, the Majakulo and people fear. That's a kind of an approach there. But now, this type of situation where, of course, what happens in PLU, I may not even know so much because it does not have the literature we can read and understand what it is, how it works, who does this and the other. I may not go deeply there, but I'm looking at him as a person and also as a CDF. So what we are saying, what I'm saying is, despite all that, if these tweets are from him and he has possibly not denied or said that someone has stolen my identity, they are kind of not so good. They kind of pull down whatever, the excitement people had picked about how he had come out to deal with the corrupt. Because, you know, we have had that kind of a team of corrupt in the middle who steal medicine and many people die, who steal money for this and this and the other. Yes, but at the same time, when there is such a situation and you see a man on campus, on tiles, face tied and so many things, and then it is attributed that person whom some other people have been trying to build confidence in, then it becomes a negative. And that's why I appeal to PLU guys, that those who move near General Muhoozi, to tell him how people down feel when he talks about corruption. They get very happy because they know that they are poor because someone has been taking their money. But when it comes to a situation that a helpless man, a sick man, is seen on tiles, face tied, and so whatever, some of us, it reminds us of the former situations, and then the young people get intimidated. And in that, I'm saying that even as, you know, you are supposed to check out and say, here you have done something good, there is some kind of prospect. Here, shouldn't be done because it pulls you down completely. People get confused about what they should expect about a leader or a future leader, because anybody can be a leader. Kambara, you can be president tomorrow.
So what you see happening, is it embarrassing an individual or it's embarrassing a nation?
Well, it's embarrassing a nation. Incidentally and surprisingly, Muhoozi is not embarrassed. He's very proud. Because he's been saying, I'm so proud of what I've done to Lukwago, I'm so proud of this. So it is embarrassing us as a nation. We have become a laughing stock. Because everywhere people are talking about, is this the CDF, is this the first son? Because I mean, these other nations and countries, they also have first sons that behave with decorum, that have some level of civility, that have some dignity, you know. But we are talking about a first son who parades in torturing innocent Ugandans. We are talking about a first son who prayed. Every time he talks, it's about, I'm going to hang someone, I am going to kill someone. And I was asking myself, how can an individual prayed in murder? How can an individual prayed, you know, take a lot of pride in torturing? And I was saying, you know, those days, generals would be proud because they have defeated a rebel, they would be in the jungles fighting. But now we have a general who is on Twitter and he's so proud that he has tortured an armed civilian called Elias Lukwago, and an armed civilian called Eddie Mutwe. So I think Mr. Muhoozi needs to be brought to order. And it is unfortunate that some of the people that would be bringing him to order are actually worshipping him. By
the way, did you know that somebody was telling me they were saying, Doreen, you're next?
Yeah, well, I have been told that several times because every time he tweets, those that worship him go and tell him, General, now there's Nyandura, she should also go in the basement. And I mean, we are not going to be intimidated. We are not going to be silenced because our silence is not going to change anything.
You may say that you're not going to be intimidated, but there is, I suppose, what I can be able to tell, there seems to be a cold, chill down the spine of many politicians, today. Because of what has happened, and Mr. Akol,
I think before
you may not. I'm saying you may not be intimidated, But if you
yes.
look critically, there's a cold chill in the spines of many
It
politicians
is there,
today.
but all of us cannot be intimidated. All of us cannot be silenced. Some of us are going to be here, we shall talk. If we are killed, another person will also come out and talk. Otherwise, we cannot simply let Mhoz be. And by the way, I just wanted to emphasize once again that we should not stop doubting that it's Mhoz that runs that X account. Probably you have forgotten. There's a time that he threatened to attack Nairobi. Do you all remember his father apologizing, or you don't remember? I'm asking. Or you forgot?
No, we've not
yes.
forgotten it.
So the father went and apologized after the son making a threat on Twitter. So this X account that we are talking about is run and managed by the CDF.
But
so that
I saw a promotion instead. But anyway.
Yes, and after that he got a promotion. He apologized, and after there was
a promotion instead. For you, saying an apology.
Yes, and there was a promotion
but
as well. That is when he becomes CDF.
So, but now, Mr. Cole, is the political space shrinking in Uganda, or has it shrunk so much? And yet, are we into a democratic reversal?
No, you see, we are on a journey of developing our democracy. And in that journey of developing our democracy, definitely this is where we shall progress and where we shall have recessions or stagnations. That is natural everywhere. Because even in the US, you see how they are having issues with Trump, and they've had the Democrats for a very, very, very long time. So these are issues that we shall always have register progresses and also
you're talking like someone who is fearing the basement. No.
First of all, I just want to say that no one doesn't fear the basement.
Is fearing the basement because now this democracy that he's talking about, I really don't see it.
No, in every democracy, in every democracy, because you saw what happened in Kenya. In every democracy, definitely they will have it. You find at times, yes, it's progressing, but also you also find that at certain time there are some kind of recessions. So like he said it, that at times you find that we move 2 steps ahead and then also 1 step back. These happen, but whatever the challenges we get, they give us chance to going back to the drawing board, so that we can say, look here, there is this, and we need to have it corrected. But I want to get to where a point where you said that the speaker and deputy speaker being excited after they had been appointed envoys of PLOU. PLOU is a serious force that we need to recognize, that it has a good number of MPs as a political pressure group within of movement within NRM. It also commands a section of opposition MPs. It also, yes, this is the fact. Norbert Mao is a member of PLOU. If I cannot, okay, maybe you could. So let's
Mr. Okol,
yes.
Doreen and David, gentlemen and lady, we're going to take a break, and on the spot we'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching On the Spot. My name is Patrick Amar, and my guests tonight are Mr. David Egesa, Doreen Nyanjura, and Mande Okol. You know, I'm just thinking, David, have we reached a point maybe now we should be able to summon elders of the nation? Probably the institutions we're having, maybe they are failing us. I'm talking about people like Amanya Mushega, people like Rakan Uganda, people like Ambassador Hareda Achema, you know, and maybe guide the nation. We seem to be getting off the rail. And when we go on the internet, we have an entire sort of internet mujahideen. They keep hitting each other. The words that are exchanged are so abominable that the country seems to be on the cliff to go into an abyss that could be very disastrous.
I think what has happened is like we have allowed, we have opened up to a situation where disagreements and wars and fracases are now being sorted in verbal fights. And you know, because of
it can start in
the advancement,
it can start with like a war of words and degenerate into something else.
Exactly. That's why the whites kind of looked at that and put up, took up such their statements, which are categorized which are put to be like terrorist kind of statements, meaning that the mouth, whatever a person says, or what today it's a war of words. Someone comes up, especially the young generation, because they use the systems to fight at to kind of throw darts at each other, and before you realize someone is dead, or by the crime now so much moves on in that type of phase. So it is very important that I think we may have to consult the elders, because the elders have the history of this country. Many of these young people do not know that whatever statement you say may kind of create situations that may downplay whatever efforts you have, and of course communication. There is a time I got so embarrassed to see two people I have always respected. That's Andrew Mwenda and Semuju. They were literally exchanging words on a talk show like this in a way that was very inappropriate. These are guys who are very brainy, very, very respected guys. But now we are raising a generation, and maybe the one coming maybe was, because we have told them that he who talks more, he who shouts more, he who insults more takes the day. So we are reaching that stage whereby if you know how to talk, of course, even with opposition. I don't know me, I don't know where I fall. I'm either opposition, some days, tomorrow I'm NRM. But even when you look at sometimes the words they use when addressing, let's say the president, someone calls him this, that one calls him that, and that one calls, now, what are you, the seed we are planting. I know we can do the Gandhi way. Gandhi was a nice speaker, was a respecting speaker, he was a nice, and you could see that kind of peaceful kind of engagement.
Passive resistance.
Yes, we can build an engagement that is not necessarily aggressive. Because if you know, all these excesses we are seeing is just because of this lack of control of the verbals we deal with when we are attacking those we don't believe in.
So, Doreen, have we reached a point, or do we desire, as Uganda, some kind of a national dialogue that can be a truth-telling? So probably that national dialogue can reset the nation. What can reset us?
You know, since the elders have not come to us, we have already embarked on the process as the People's Front for Freedom to look for these elders. We have written to them detailing what is happening in the country, the abductions of our colleagues in NUP, the abduction, by the way, of my brother and my dear friend, Sam Mugumya, whose whereabouts up to now are not known. So
and this is a man who spent 9 years in Ndola prison, the notorious Ndola prison in Congo.
One of the worst prisons in the world.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we have written to them letters. We have written to civil society appealing to them to please come out and also offer their voice, to also come out and do something about the current situation. We have reached out to religious leaders whom we think are also instrumental. They are major stakeholders in our country. We have also reached out to cultural leaders, and these engagements, I think you're going to be seeing them happening. Today we held a solidarity press conference, a solidarity meeting with other sister parties in the opposition. So this engagement is ongoing. We are reaching out to elders. We are crying out to them that it is at this critical moment where the country needs to hear from them. And he was talking about the aggressiveness, and he was giving an example of Semuju. You know, we should be talking about the aggressiveness of those that are abducting, torturing, and even killing. Because for me, for Ikwaro, and they have not killed someone, honestly speaking, we cannot compare it to the violence that our citizens are being subjected to. And of course, we have seen the head of state bragging how he has appointed ministers because they are quarrelsome, because they are abusive. We have seen people who have been appointed advisors to the president because they know how to abuse. But we are lucky that, yes, Semuju can be aggressive, but I mean when he's talking sense. But you know individuals who have been rewarded.
Okay, they were quarreling with
who have been rewarded.
I want to stay on the issue of us sort of as a country soul searching, us talking amongst ourselves, having a sober and honest discussion about where our country is, so that we can reset this country in a direction we agree. Akol, do you believe that could maybe salvage us? But again, who can be in such a dialogue? How do you constitute it? How do you assemble it?
No, there has been a push for a national dialogue for about, I think, 10 years now. Eminent Ugandans like Dr. Magi Kigozi, with Justice Ogola, have really been pushing for national dialogue to address some of the imbalances in the country. So that has been on. And I feel, yes, at every other time, we have escalating emotions here and there. We need a national dialogue.
But there are those who are going to say, look, there are those who are going to say we have a constitution, we have a timetable for electing our leaders, and they elect a parliament that is supposed to make laws, and they will argue, why do we need it? We have these institutions.
Yeah, of course we have all that, but where we think that in certain situations they are being bypassed, then that's why national dialogue becomes very, very, very key to guide. And elders, yes, like Doreen says, it is very important that since the elders maybe in certain areas they've not come out openly, then going to them. And every society has always had elders to guide. That's why you find that in countries like Tanzania, Chama cha Mapinduzi has an elders wing. Even actually NRM as a party has the elders forum. They have the historical league. So we believe that members from the elders forum, elders league, the historical league, should actually come out to guide the nation. Look here, this is why we went to the bush. This is what so far we've achieved, and this is where we are heading to. So the dialogue at every other time, especially with what is happening. Also the media, of course, has to play a role in this escalating the tensions that are in the country. Because of course, bringing out this kind of discussion, I believe it's not going to end here. Very many people actually are picking it on. The media has to set the agenda that where the tensions are high, they actually have to play the role of de-escalating the tensions.
David, do you see some form of a clash of generations? Those who came as liberators in 1986 and their children of the revolution, and maybe the two seems to be clashing now and not aligning themselves?
Of course, exactly that. Okay, let's talk about dialogue. Who is going to dialogue with who? Now we have a generation of young people who believe that the old people are outdated. They don't think right. They are they should get off the book. And so this is the young and the very old who have seen so much, and those who have not seen, who have also seen very little. I definitely know that there will be a clash of classes. How the old people look at things and situations and whatever. I think to a certain extent, the times have kind of looked at PLU as another team of young people who have come up, and then you have the opposition. So we the old ones may either pull out and then try to guide them from that direction, because who is going to dialogue with who? The young people do not believe. They say they are computer. Is it they call themselves what? There's a generation. I wonder as if they came with the computers from their stomachs because they have just been born 30 years,
But
20, 35 years.
with
the old ones,
I want to ask a question.
they found the computers without. They may not have been the best, but computers were found there. So what we are saying is this: today. Even if the elder people wanted to dialogue, the young people will put the bar very high because of the way they have been raised.
I just want to pose a question to you, Elder. Is the problem actually the young people, the old people? Yes, because we are also tired. Like every time we talk about something, they say the young people. Now we are looking at Uganda today. Is the problem actually the young people? I also have a challenge. People saying, oh, Mohozi, he's young, he's young. The man is 52 years.
Yeah, but he's a young generation. You didn't compare him to some of us who are 70.
Yes, so is the problem the young people actually? Or it is the historicals
what happens is
who are in the bush?
It's a lack of values across board. We are a nation that I think we have a deficit of values, whether we're young or old.
I think, Kamara, it's not only in Uganda. We are having a situation where politics, and especially the young people, have been radicalized. That the youth, maybe President Yoweri Museveni was dealing with when he came from the bush in 1986. This is totally different breed of young people. Because then the current group of young people are people who are actually highly informed because of the information era.
Exactly.
They are young people who are highly connected because that you find that somebody in Uganda can easily connect with a colleague in Nigeria, in South Africa, and in Europe, which wasn't actually the case in 1986 to about 2000. So, and therefore, this calls for a paradigm shift. How do you handle this? And the other thing is that when you look at the current type of radicalization of politics, in most cases that our electorate also believe in radical leaders. And believe in radical leaders. That's why you find people who are gentle, like General Muntu, actually, regardless of their character and what, it becomes hard for them to get a following. But you find a person like Kyagulanyi, wherever they have come from, there and there, because of that radicalization. In other words, he is acting and speaking the language they really listen to. So these are some of the things that we need to. So the question is, how do we handle this radicalization? Now, yes, when the president says that, okay, I also have, because a cabinet is all inclusive. A cabinet is all inclusive because if you have youth who are radical, who are going actually to abuse government, you should also have somebody inside there who can also help counter that. This is my thinking.
Yes, I want us to look at it the other way around.
Let me finish.
Okay.
Because you remember in Kenya, one of the reasons why Ruto was actually brought on board during the first Raila and Kenyatta contest was that he had ably shown that he can contain Raila's verbal artillery. And indeed, it helped secure votes in the Rift Valley. So this is something that is done.
Sometimes as a political tool.
The young people that we are talking about here that are really radicalized, unfortunately, it's not the young people who are maybe fighting for a better country. The young people that are highly radicalized, these are the people that are beating us on the streets. These are the young people that have guns. These are the young people that are DPCs. If you walk in any police station, you'll find these young people. The young people that he's referring to, like Kyagulanyi, not sure if he's young anyway, the young people like Kyagulanyi that he's talking about, he's radicalized by trying to point out the injustices that are in the system. But he's being confronted by young people that are protecting the regime, and they're also armed. They are threatening to kill him. They're threatening to take him in the basement. So that is the difference.
But you can put out your points, right, in a civil behavior, with respect.
Yes.
I still believe that. Whether there has been a situation, you respect people. Whatever. Yes, you may be angered.
I don't think decorum works now. I want to ask a question. We are talking about Lukwago who was abducted. Was Lukwago not civil?
No, of course we should look at whatever over the table. We are talking about the youths today, the political youths, and how they approach and how they bring in their, how they want to be heard. But of course, as they come out, they tend to be abusive. They tend to be disrespecting. Yet they want.
Are you saying that is that across the board?
Yeah.
Whether across the political divide, NRM and opposition?
Okay, let's take it that way. Because by doing that, if we talk about dialogue and whatever, when there are insults and we are building on who can abuse better.
I actually see young people who seem to have ignored what is going on. I see young people who are just on their TikTok and they're not ever, because if Ugandans behaved like Ugandans of 1980 and 1960, we're having a different Uganda right now. Me, I see young people who are actually not even about that.
Of 1980 that went to the bush.
Yeah, what I'm saying. Me, I see Ugandans.
The Kadogos of 5 years.
Me, I see Ugandans who are not bothered.
Exactly.
They are not.
Yes.
They are not actually even abusive. I just see them docile and not bothered.
I think I totally agree with you.
Docile and not
Those that are bothered are the ones that are taking us.
And by the way,
I wouldn't wholesomely agree with you.
Well, that's what I seem to see.
Nyanjura is also part of the Ugandans, and I've always seen her tweet every other time.
You don't have been arrested over 30 times?
Of course. So
I have this scar. This one, I was beaten by a baton. Was I armed? I was not. Was I fighting anyone? I was not. I was only carrying a manila and saying, you are unemployed Ugandans, we need jobs.
Okay.
And I was beaten.
In the interest of time, I don't want to start a show and end on Thursday and edit on Friday. I want your concluding remarks. Let me begin with you, Ekesa. As you conclude, are you optimistic about Uganda?
Yeah, of course. When I look at the journey from as far as 61, when I was born in 61, and I've seen regimes, I've seen governments, I've seen heads of states. Yes, we are moving. There are some very positive strides this country has taken, and we should not lose them through a few things whereby you could possibly dialogue.
Okay. Thank you very much, Doreen. What's going to be your parting shot?
Well, fellow Ugandans, what is currently happening to Lukwago, to Besigye, so many Ugandans that have been abducted, it's not just about those that have been abducted. This is something that should concern all of us. It's no longer about who is the opponent. It's also about Kamara. Why has Kamara invited Nyanjura to come here and talk about Muhoozi? So everyone should be concerned. And we need to raise to the occasion and say enough is enough, because this is our country. And I keep wondering, and those that believe in Museveni, me, I'm actually asking myself, is he still in charge? Where is he? Because you're seeing the son, he now seems to be the president, he's the CDF, he's the spokesperson of the army. He also seems to be talking on behalf of police. Kamara, just a few days ago, I was actually moving around Ntinda, where I stay, and I was asking people whether they know the Inspector General of Police. They don't know him. They don't know him. Because now the military has taken over. Yes, they should be knowing him. So, Mr. Museveni, sir, are you still in charge? Are you still there? Or you already handed over to your son? Because for me, when I look at Muhoozi, I actually see Museveni, but without a mask. Because what he's doing, even the father can do these things. We all need to raise up to the occasion. Let's not be intimidated. Our silence is not going to save anyone. Mr.
Mandakol.
Yeah, thank you very much. My parting shot is that we have one country we call Uganda, and it's very important that the leaders and we who are led, we should act in such a manner that protects our country. We should act in such a manner that gives hope to everyone. And that when we are in positions of responsibility, we should actually use them to serve the country. That also, as young people, the young people, radicalization of activity is also not good. We should always learn from the elders. Let us understand our history, where we are coming from, where we are, and where exactly we are heading to. Lastly, yes, I also have hope, because once you lose hope, definitely you die. That no matter what we feel is happening, there is always still light at the end of the tunnel. Every actually cloud has a silver lining.
Thank you very much, Mandia Cole. Thank you, Doreen Nyanjura. Thank you, David Egesa. And more importantly, you, the viewer, want to thank you for the privilege of your company. You know, I believe in Uganda. I'm rooting for Uganda. We've gone through a tumultuous past as a country, and sometimes a blast furnace. But as Uganda, we always go through it, and we always cross the line. I believe Uganda, even whatever we're going through, we'll get there as a people. No matter what, we will. And, you know, sometimes people disagree politically. Doreen can disagree with a call. It's not that because they hate each other. I want to believe that people disagree and politicians disagree because they love Uganda more, and they want to take Uganda a different direction because they have convinced their point of view could be the best. But we have a choice. The choice to build and the choice to destroy. I urge you, Ugandans, let's choose to build Uganda. Good night and God bless Uganda.